Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Maseches Tamid. We are on page Daf Chav Zayin Amud Beis according to the Yvel Nashas, Chav Zayin Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Tanan also we have a Mishnah over there, which is in Maseches Midos, describing the goings on with the postings, with the shemrim, with the guards. They were not left to their own devices. They had a manager, a sergeant, making the rounds, double checking that they were awake and alert. Tanan Hasam Ish Harabayis. He was called the Ish Harabayis, overseer, who was the supervisor of the shemrim, of the honor guard. He would make his rounds every night. Go take a look at what's going on with the sentries. He had with him his torches, so you can see what's going on. And as he approaches the guard, if he wouldn't immediately get up and address him, my dear sergeant, Shalom Alecha, peace to you. So if he didn't have that immediate response, Nikar Shu Yashin, that was a telling sign that he's dozing off. And he would pull out his club, and he would thrash him with his club. He had the authority to burn his jacket. Some say it means the upper cloak, his jacket, not his... and that was his way of teaching him a lesson. And the other guards who would hear this mayhem, what's going on? What's that sound? What's going on? What's the noise? The answer was it was a member of the Levi group who's getting hit for his non-attentiveness. He's getting hit and his bgadim are being burned. Why? He fell asleep on his on duty. I know a personal story. Achi imi yashin. They once found my nephew, my mother's brother, my uncle. Yashin, who was sleeping, and he got his things burnt. Amar chibab, ki mater Rabbi Yechon b'ha masnisa. Yishnu Rabbi Yechon came to this Mishnah that they would have their stuff burnt. They would be punished for falling asleep. Amar would say hachi as follows: Ashrei lo yishayim. Lucky are those of the earlier generations. They were held to such high regard, such high standards. They would get punished even for inadvertently falling asleep. Should have stayed up, should take an extra coffee. So even for that, they would be held accountable. Could you imagine if it was a non-sleep offense, an offense which was more, so to speak, controllable? Of course, they would be held accountable. Okay, so we see the high standards they had, and we have to try to strive accordingly. Tanya, Mishnah Pirkei Avos, well-known Mishnah. Rabbi Yomer, Ezohi, which path should a person choose in life? What's the most effective angle? Ezohi derech yishara. What's a straight path? Sheyavar. Lo yadam, person should choose for himself. Yavas techachos. First of all, you should love being admonished. Ask people, tell me, criticize me, show me the right way. The Vilna Gaon was known to have a mochiach. You know who it was? The Dubna Magid. It was the official mochiach of the Vilna Gaon. He would sit down with him and say, look, give me teichacha, tell me what I'm doing wrong. It is said that he once told the Vilna Gaon, it's such a great thing that you're sitting here with your shades drawn. Try to go on the street, go outside, be exposed to the elms, and deal with it over there. Okay, well, the Gaon's mission was to sit in his clothes and to be the light of Klal Yisrael for generations. But that was his musar. He said, "Look, there are challenges out there, and person always has to be humble." In any case, a person should love teichachos. Shekol zman teichachos ba'olam. When we have admonishers in the world, nachas ruach ba'olam, that ensures that we're in step, and only brings good things, goodwill from Hashem. Toiv bracha ba'olam, good and bracha. A person, when people do the right thing, or they're admonished and they fix their ways, it chases away all evil. Right? Through the techacha, this pleasantness, brings goodness and blessings. Going back to the question that Rebbe posed, what's the surest path in life? Some say the focal point is on emunah, on faith in Hashem. The Mefarish actually learns that it's talking about business and business dealings. A person has the proper faith that every penny comes from Hashem. Nobody can give, nobody can take. I just have to do a little effort. So there's no enticement to cut corners, to be dishonest. Shenamar Einei, Hashem's eyes, so to speak. Hashem focuses. Hashem has special pleasure from B'nei Mani Oretz, from those who are honest down there. Shabbos Imadi. They're the ones that are zeichet to live with, to dwell with Hashem. A person critiques his friend for the sake of heaven, not to get even with him, not to put him down, but to effect an improvement, a closeness to Hashem. He's Zoicha to be in Hashem's domain. He represents Hashem in the world. It's not for his own interest. He's expressing Hashem's wishes, Hashem's instructions to this individual. Pasuk says, when you are machiach a person for the right intention, for the sake of Hashem, to mekarav you to Hashem, acharai. Hashem says, you're behind me, you're with me. Furthermore, don't be concerned that you'll fail in your attempt, that you won't be received properly. A person's going to question your motives. No, if you really have Hashem in mind, there'll be a special chut shel chesed, which means to say people will appreciate you. You'll find favor in people's eyes. Your words will have the proper affection. You'll find grace. When you have Hashem in mind, as opposed to a person whose machak lashon uses smooth talk and tries to impress and to flatter, right? Say it the way it is, l'shem shamayim, with softness, with care, with concern, with love. Not only will you have atzlacha, but Hashem says, you're one of mine. A special membership in Hashem's club. Mission speaks about a kohen. What an interest in doing the Trumas Hadeshin. So mission says he has to quickly go and be toivel to be ready in time. It sounds like once you do that, you're in. But then the mission speaks about a pious, some sort of a lottery system. Hogavakasha. It's a bit hard to understand what's going on. Amris, first you say, it's open, whoever wants. A person would like to do that. Mitzvah mashkim, a toivel, get up quickly and do tefillah, ashlev amunah, before the moon arrives, and then you're in. You'll be appointed for the job. Apparently it's not dependent on the pious. There's no competition, there's no choosing. Well, then the Mishnah speaks about a pious system to choose the lucky one. Yovavi, pious, let him come and be part of the pious. Alma, apparently the pious talmud. There's a whole pious procedure involved. Amar Abaye. Both are true, depends when. First they started with a pious, then it got a bit violent. They had to make law and order. And they instituted the pious system to keep things safe and civil. Amar Abaye Likash, here's the answer. Kan koitim takana, kan lacha takana. Before the takana, there's no need for a pious. Then there was a pious. It's not Berishayna, in the good old days. Whoever wants to come to the Trumas Hadeshin, please be my guest. Let's say there are several candidates. They had a race. They ran up the ramp. Whoever gets up there first, or within the last 4 ames, that's the finish, zone. Whoever reaches the last 4 ames of that ramp, the first one in is the winner. Let's say there are 2 who arrived simultaneously. It was a tie. So the Mamuna, the manager, would ask them to hold out their finger, and he would pick a random number, 48, and go back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 48 was the winner. Which finger would they hold out? One finger, the index, or if a person couldn't just do it, he would do it together with the other one. So 1 or 2 was okay. Good but not the thumb, because then he can trick. He can go like this, the thumb and the pinky, and the Mamuna would count it as 2. Let's say he sees numbers are closing in. He'll quickly pick up 2s. This way he gets the number 48. Maasa. In fact, it was a story. This was the old system. So what happens? At one time they were so eager. There were 2 kohanim, neck and neck, running up the kevish. One of them shoved his friend off the finish program. He broke his foot. And Bezin saw that it's leading to danger. They abolished that the race system, and it was just the pious. Instead of the race system, they instituted the pious system all around. Hence, the second part of the Mishnah. The entire Mishnah, both parts are referring to the latter system after they established the pious, procedure. The Mishnah just means like this: Misha who writes a lavoi will a pious person wants to do Trumas Hadeshin, meaning through the pious system. Mashkem v'tayvel ad shelo yav muna, quickly be tayvel before the muna arrives, and then you be part of the pious system. But nobody meant to say that you have access without the pious, because speaking about the system that was instituted later, which required the pious in all situations. Okay, so the Mamuna, the manager, is here. What's next on the agenda? It says the Mishnah, the Mamuna takes hold of the key, and he opens up, he unlocks the little mini doorway, the service doorway, and he now enters into the Azara. He goes Beis HaMoiked, where the Kohana were sleeping, La Azara. So he goes from there, La Azara, into the Azara, and he was followed by a crew of Kohanim, actually 2 crews. V'nichnasu HaKohanim Achrav. The Kohanim follow him. Holding 2 torches, 2 flashlights, 1 per group. They split into 2 groups, and they were doing an inspection, a daily inspection of the Azara, to ensure everything is in order, everything's in place, nobody took anything. So the starting point was the Beis HaMoiked. They would split up and encircle the entire perimeter, the inside perimeter of the Azara. They would start to the right, they would start to the left, they would meet up around the other side of the circle. Split into 2 groups. These would take a left turn towards the east, towards Mizrach. And they would walk along the Achsadra, this terrace. And the other group went to the right, towards the west. Checking and inspecting as they're walking along, until they arrive full circle, and they meet each other at the place called the Makaim of the Oise, of the those who make the chavitim, the mincha that the Kohen Gadol brings every morning. Higil, once they arrive and they meet at that meeting point, Elu ve'elu amru, so they greet each other with a formal greeting, peace, all is in order, shalom hakol shalom. At that point, they're holding at the next step, hamidu oise or oise chavitim, as chavitim, they get up they get the people who are meant to do the chavitim to get up and start the chavitim. Now over to the Kohen, who was privileged to have the honor of doing Trumas Hadeshin. What does he do? He will do the Truma. They warn him, be careful. Make sure don't touch the klisharas until you wash your hands and feet from the yakir, which was mandatory before you do the avodah. Where was the klishara sitting? So the shovel was, the sun was placed at the corner, between the ramp and the mizbeach, Merav Shel Kevish, on the west side of the Kevish. And he would have to go there alone, because the area between the Mizbeach and the further into the Beis HaMikdash, the Ulam and the Heichal, was not really accessible to a Kohen unless he was doing something, purposeful, the Avodah. So at this point, he's the only Kohen engaged in Avodah. So he goes himself. Ein Adam Nichnas, nobody enters with him, nobody accompanies with him to his destination. Nor is he holding any lamp, any light. He's walking along the glow. So there is some glow coming from the burning wood, the arrangement on the Mizbeach itself. It's been burning all night now. There's still some glow left. That serves to light his way. So now nobody would see him because they were situated on the other side of the Mizbeach. Nor would they hear him as he's walking. So basically, they're not hearing anything until boom, they start hearing a creaky sound. They hear the noisy, creaky sound coming from that wooden wheel, that pulley system. Ben Katan, which was fashioned by the Kaigadol called Ben Katan. He made this muchni, this wheel, this pulley system, lakir, for the kir, to have its water lowered into the underground chamber and connected to the underground water, to spare it from becoming puzzle. If it stays upstairs overnight, it's puzzle. So there was this system which would make a racket. And once they hear him, they say, okay, he's Kiddush Yad Raglaim here. Clearly he's involved in Kiddush Yad Raglaim. Okay, he's arrived. What does he do next? Not on Machtas HaKesef, he takes the silver shovel, and travels up to the top of the Mizbeach. Pinas HaGechol Melech V'Helech. He pushes aside the coals, this way and that. Apparently the coals, which are not really fully incinerated yet, so he wants to get them out of the way, and he wants to reach in to really burnt out coals. Like fully consumed. Apnim is the one inside. So he draws out shovels from those, and once he has a full shovel, Yorad, he comes off the Mizbeach. He goes back down the ramp. Once he reaches the floor below, now he turns towards north. He makes a little U-turn. And walks alongside the Kevish, to the east of the Kevish now. Keser Am is about 10 Amis, and that's the spot where he places down the coals. He piles up the coals. Al Gabi Arispa on the floor. Away from the wall of the ramp, which is the exact location where they place other ashes. Mokim, that's the place where they put Marasa Oif, the waste, the innards of the Oila bird, V'dishon Mizbeach HaPnimi, the burnout of the Mizbeach HaPnimi, of the golden Mizbeach, V'dishon Menorah, and the burnings of the Menorah. Now, the Mishnah spoke about the inspectors walking along the terraces, which sounds like wooden structures. How did you have Achsar Doris in the Azor? Not meant to have any wooden structure in the Azor. Well, Tani, we have a Reiser Blezer. How do we know She'ein Ois and Achsar Doris? How do we know we don't build Achsar Doris Ba'Azorah? Tamalaymar. Don't plant any Avodah Zarah tree. The pasuk continues. Call eitz, anything of wood. Eitz al near mizbach Hashem lekech. So we learn. The pasuk means to say, first of all, you shouldn't plant any asher anywhere, any Avodah Zarah. But then there's a specific addition. Don't plant or erect any wooden structures in the in the proximity of the Mizbeach and the Azor. So how did they have these wooden structures? Amar Rav Chisda. He says they weren't wood; they were made of stone. These terraces were made of stone. By the way, the Rambam explains. How do we see from this pasuk that you can't even have a structure? Maybe it's only a planted tree. He says kolates, covers even structures. So they're checking and they're inspecting, and they arrive full circle, and they get the chavitin makers to work. Remember, they mean to say the chavitin avukadimi, that the chavitin were offered before, first carbon to be offered. But Tani, we learned from the Brisa, the carbon tamid goes first. How do we know Tamash Shach is the first carbon on the list? It says, they burn the fire in the Mizbeach. So after they set up the fire, first thing goes the oila. How do we know it's the first oila's tamid? Maybe it's any oila. Amar Rab, Rab explained, ha'oila, the known, the notable one, oila rishayna. So it's the first oila discussed by the Karbanis in Parshas Bamidbar, in Chomesh Bamidbar, Program Chavches, Chavtes over there. First one is the Karban Tamid, before the other Karbanis in Parshas Pinchas. So that's the one that goes first. Rabbi Yehuda, they weren't trying to offer to be makar the chavitim first. Just preparing the hot water takes time to get it going. L'hachim chamen, to warm up the hot water needed l'rebucha for cooking of the mincha, and that could be started before the oilas hatamid, but the actual offering took place later. Okay, so far we learned about the Kohanim posted around the Beis Hamikdash, the Levim, 21 places. There was an inspector going around, making sure everybody is up to their duties. If he was caught sleeping on the job, he was in deep trouble. They spoke about the greatness of having teichacha. By the way, it comes to mind, the end of that story. The Vilna Goyen had a meichiach, right? The Dubna Magid. So he once tells him, he says, Vilna Goyen, he thinks such a big deal. So it goes like this. He says, you think it's a kunst? A kunst in Yiddish means it's a trick. You think it's such a big trick to sit here in a isolated room over here in the clothes with your shades drawn. Of course, you're sitting and learning all day. Try to do this out in the marketplace. So Vilna Goyen tells him, Ich bin nicht kein Kunstmacher. I'm not a trick master. This is what I do. This is my role. I'm not here to make tricks. Vilna Goyen is meant to be the Vilna Goyen in the clothes, learning and writing his svarim and teaching Klal Yisrael. Anyway, so they had the pious, right? Initially there was a race system, and then they established this pious to keep it safe and sound. Discussed the procedure of Shumas Hadeshin, starting with the inspection. Then he went to do the Kedusha Raglayim, went up to Mizbeach, shoveled the coals, came back down, placed them alongside the Mizbeach, and then we discussed the preparation for the Chavitin, and on to the next parak. Ru'u Echav Shiyara. So his fellow Kohanim see him coming off the Mizbeach. Okay, now it's time to get going. They're running. And Miharu, they hurriedly went to wash their hands, to prepare themselves for Avodah. They sanctify themselves by rinsing their hands and feet from the Kir water. And they went out to prepare the Mizbeach for the next day's service. Not long, a great face. They grabbed hold of the rakes to rake away the coals and the ashes, and these forks. And they traveled up L'Rosh HaMizbeach, top of the Mizbeach. What about the limbs and the fats from yesterday's karbanos, which hadn't yet been fully consumed? That was not fully consumed throughout the night. So in the meantime, they had to make way for the new firewood arrangement. They had to put them aside. And they would push them aside. Al tzidei Mizbeach, either to the side of the top surface of the Mizbeach, and if they ran out of place, in main stadim machzikim, if the sides wouldn't hold this much, Soidrim Oisam b'Soivev. They would push them over to the Soivev, which was the walkway around the Mizbeach. So there was like a ramp, a ledge protruding from the middle of the mid-height off the wall of the Mizbeach. So the Mizbeach was built like a step. It was wider, then it came in as a step, then continued on to the top. So that ledge, it's called a Seiv. They would place temporarily place it was meant as a walkway, right? They would place the Ivarim there. If they ran out of place, or ala kevesh. Another option was either there or ala kevesh on the actual ramp. So either way it was okay. At which point they started shoveling the ashes. Al gav tapuach, on this apple. What's the apple? It's an expression. Tapuach hayu be'emtza mizbeach. It was a pile, sort of like a half ball, or just a round pile, right in the middle of the mizbeach's top surface, where they would push all the coals and all the ashes. And sometimes it was so much material. It was so big. Pa'amim shahayu olav Kishleishmius kur, sometimes it was laden up with 300 kur of ashes of regolim. Now typically, when it got to that point, they would do something called Dishna Mizbeach. They would load up the ashes and carry it outside the Yerushalayim to a place called Shevach Hadeshin. But on the Yamim Tovim, they want to display the multitudes of karbanos and the kavod and the commitment and the abundance of nedavos and nedarim and the karbanos. So they kept it in place, despite the fact that it took up a lot of place. They wouldn't clean out the ashes because it beautifies the mizbeach. It never happened that a kohen would shy away, would be sort of lazy, would hesitate to do this job of taking out the deshen when it came time to do so. The Mefarish says even though it was noi, it beautified the mizbeach, but still when it came time to do it, the kohen would eagerly do it. Perhaps there's another point as well, because perhaps it can be perceived as not the most, prestigious role in the Beis Hamikdash, carrying out the ashes. So, Mishnah is highlighting, we do what we have to do. Like the Vilna Gaon says, we're not trick masters. It's a mitzvah, we grab it. All the best to you, and it's lacharab.